Hello, everybody. This is another episode of Simply Dorales. I am Dorales, your host, and today's topic will be about breaking ties and stages of loss. I have my wonderful co-host, Casey, or as most of you call him, Preach, and we also have CJ. Can you guys say hi?
What's going on, guys?
What's good, y'all?
Okay. So this is, as I told you guys last time, this is going to be a traveling podcast because we are on the road. So please, sorry in advance for all the bumps and thumps that you will hear in the background as we're driving and opening and closing of the doors. Okay, so we always start you off, guys, with the definition. So the textbook definition for breaking ties is to abruptly and permanently end a relationship with another person or thing. So the definition of loss, which I don't really, it didn't go in depth for me, but to lose something of value. Okay, so what a lot of people don't know is there are 5 stages of loss. And it's actually the same five stages you go through with grief. It's denial. It's anger. It's bargaining. It's depression. And then it's acceptance. No matter what type of loss you're experiencing, loss is loss. Whether it's grief, loss of a relationship, loss of a job, loss of something that held value for you. Now let's talk about denial. Denial, when you're in the denial phase, it is common to feel numb. Some people at first carry on like nothing happened. Even if we know in our heads that someone has died, or even if we know that this relationship is over, I lost this. We sometimes carry on as if nothing has happened because we want to believe that that important thing is coming back. We want to believe, no, it can't be. And we just go on living our lives. It's very, very common. It's also very common to feel the presence of someone who has died. Even hearing their voices. Sometimes thinking you see them or seeing them. It's very, very common. And it is also the same when you experience a loss in a relationship, whether it be a friendship, a sexual relationship, personal relationship with your parents or your sister or your aunt. Maybe y'all fell out or something like that. All loss isn't permanent, but all loss goes through these 5 stages. The next stage is anger. Anger is very natural after experiencing loss, and it's okay. Like if someone dies, you get mad at them for dying. I know it sounds crazy, but you do, and it's very, very natural. You get mad at that person for breaking your heart. You get mad at that person for leaving you. It's all very, very natural. The next one is bargaining. So when we start to make deals, bargaining is like when we start to make deals with ourselves, or maybe God, if you're religious. We want to believe that if we act in particular ways, we will feel better. It is also common to find ourselves going over and over things that happened in the past and asking a lot of what if questions, wishing we could go back and change things, hoping to have a different outcome. And that happens regardless. That happens regardless. So it's just like, doesn't matter what type of loss you're experiencing. So the very next stage of loss is depression. The very next stage of loss is depression. Again, let me say it again. The very next stage of loss is depression. Give me 1 second, guys. Like I said, I am driving. Is depression. And depression is defined as a sadness and longing of what we think of most often when we think about grief. It's pain that can be very intense, and it comes in waves over many months or years, weeks, lifetimes. And life can feel like it no longer holds any meaning, which can be very, very scary. And I'm pretty sure most of you are aware you can experience depression without experiencing loss. But it honestly, depression is very serious and it's very scary. And you have to have the right people on your team when you are experiencing that, because that is not something you want to experience by yourself. Because experiencing by yourself, you're feeling all alone. And sometimes with depression, you may feel like you're alone when you're not. You may feel like you're alone when you're not. And depression is like that. It can make you feel like you're just by yourself, that no one cares, when in fact, you may have several people that care. Several. And it's just it's a state of mind that's unhealthy, and it can really trick you into believing you're by yourself and you have no one else. And it can cause suicide. It can cause death. It can cause destruction of self. It can definitely cause destruction of others. It can destroy relationships that you have worked so hard to develop. And it's sad. There's so many, we'll talk about depression on another episode, but there's so many different faces of depression. There's so many different, not one depression or one version of depression looks the same. It doesn't. It definitely does not. It all looks different. And it surfaces in people different. And it's just, I just want everybody to know, like, if you are experiencing depression, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, to please seek help. And it's just, I'll share this with you guys later if I'm done with my definitions, but I almost lost my life to depression. It's something that I struggle with, and a lot of people struggle with it. The last stage is acceptance. Grief comes in waves, and it can feel like nothing will ever be right again. But, gradually people find that the pain eases, and it is possible to accept what has happened. We may never get over the loss of someone or something precious to us, but we can learn to live again while keeping the memories close to us. Now, I talked about the 5 stages, which, again, just to reiterate, are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And sometimes people don't make it through all these stages. Sometimes they get stuck. in a stage or two, and they never move on. And that's why it's so important to get help. And but if you're stuck in that beginning stage, that denial stage, it's really sad. And like, just like I've always shared my story. There was a point in time in my life where I was really, really depressed. I had just suffered the loss of my daughters, and I just suffered the loss of another relationship, even though the relationship was really toxic and abusive. I had no support around me, and I was really depressed, and I was just like, I can't do this no more. And it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't just that instance. It was all the buildup through all the years, from all the abuse of countless relationships, not just sexual relationships, and all the mental and emotional abuse. It piled up, and I tried to kill myself. And I thank God to this day that I wasn't successful. And I made a promise that I wouldn't do that again. And it's easier said than done. That's definitely one of the things that's easier said than done. Because like I said, depression is hard. And I was experiencing the loss of not only my kids, but myself. I lost myself. And I didn't know where to begin to try to find her. So this is very important in experience loss. Even when you cutting ties with someone, you still experiencing that. But sometimes it's better to cut the ties than keep them there, because they're doing more harm than good. They're doing more harm than good. I'm going to pass the mic to CJ. Do you have anything to say about what we're talking about?
Alright, so I guess talking about, depression and all that good stuff, or whatever. I'm actually going through it right now. I guess like the denial stage and everything. And that's just dealing with the relationship. The denial stage that took place, I've kind of had in the back of my head that it was over, but I just couldn't believe it. It was more of like a shock. And right now we have officially, the person that I was with or whatever, we have officially cut ties. And I'm just going through the motions with it. I don't dress the same no more. All I wear is a hoodie and some sweats every day. Promise you. That's all I wear. I got it on now. But I'm starting a new journey. Moving to a new city. And I feel like that's gonna help cope, like, with what's going on with that depression that I'm having or going through. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna help out a lot. And I guess it was for the better that we cut ties, because for real, it was doing more harm than good, more than anything, because I was sitting there just at least like 1% of hope, like just 1%, but yeah. So, but it's a day-to-day thing. I take everything day by day. And eventually I will come up out of it, But it's just, right now, that's just what's it been.
That's okay. I believe it's important to have a good support system around you when you're going through these stages of loss. It is not, we weren't put on this earth. We weren't put on this earth to be alone. And I know this is KC's job, as he's labeled as preach. But if you I know a little something, but if you look in Genesis, when God created man, he gave Adam everything he could need, he could want, but he